Hello and welcome to Champions and Beyond. My name's Martin. I'm the host of the channel, and this is the games room. In a little bit of a mess, still undergoing some reorganization and that sort of thing. Behind the camera at the minute is a ton of games that need to go back on the shelf when it's all reorganized, as well as all my painting supplies from my miniature games. Also running around is the cat. So just doing this as a video to introduce people to the channel. I'm going to do a brief history of myself in gaming. Shuri. Can you calm down a little bit? I know it's horrible and raining outside. Right. So we're going to go over a brief history of my gaming life, I suppose. What sort of things I've done over the years. And we're also going to do a look forward as to what I want to cover on the channel, what I'm going to try and cover, and what's in the pipework already, sort of thing. So, as my brief history of gaming, when I was a kid, we played family games. We played, Monopoly, Cluedo. We played Monopoly, we played Cluedo, we played, Operation, Connect 4. Payday was a big family favourite. So lots of those sorts of games. As I got a little bit older, I started getting into chess. Went from there into dabbled into some TCGs, mainly Pokemon. You're going to see the cat. So dabbled into some TCGs, into Pokemon. I helped people deck test for other card games that I wasn't involved in, but I did some play testing and that sort of thing to help them create decks that they wanted to take into their own game system. That takes us up until sort of around about 2000, 2001, where I got heavily into miniature games. The release of The Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring film, was accompanied by Games Workshop's game, The Lord of the Rings strategy battle game. This has now turned into Middle-earth strategy battle game. It's been under several different iterations over the years, and I followed it through from the very beginning. It's a game that I really enjoyed. I dabbled in 40k around about the same sort of time. I actually personally didn't prefer the 40k game system. I thought the Lord of the Rings was a much, not even simpler, but it was a much more intuitive game system, and it was a lot fairer, is how it seemed, with 40k, because you take your turn, you shoot, your army can be decimated before you even get a turn. And I know that's a complaint that a lot of players that I know of have had about 40k over the years. So I then fell out of sort of tabletop gaming. I went into a lot of video gaming. What we're talking about, 2004-ish by this time. Left school, started working, and was out drinking and all that sort of thing. So tabletop gaming wasn't really on the cards. We go through to about 10 years ago, so we're looking around about 2013 now, and I got back into gaming. I started painting the Lord of the Rings miniatures again. I'd collected the books and everything, so I'd collected the books and stuff and kept up with the content that was out there during that period where I wasn't really playing. I got back to painting. I repainted some old miniatures. I painted new miniatures, and I started to get involved with the local groups, the local wargaming groups. I'd take my Lord of the Rings stuff over there. I'd sit and paint, and I'd try and get people interested. I'd host games, and all that sort of thing. Trying to build the community in the local area. At this time, I was also introduced to several more modern board games. So, Stone Age, Sentinels of the Multiverse, Zombicide were all ones that I got introduced to at the club. Ended up sitting and playing. I quite enjoyed the newer games. Although they weren't new at the time, they were all older games, but for me, they were newer. And I really got reignited with my passion for tabletop gaming. Soon after I started to gain, sort of to add to my own collection, I started to build a collection of board games. Also at this time, I got into a little bit more of the competitive side of gaming. So I played Blood Bowl, played in a couple of different leagues, very average success. I used to go away to tournaments for the Middle-earth strategy battle game. I had a second place and a first place finish at 2 of the tournaments. And then I used to also attend local tournaments for the Warhammer Underworlds game system when that first came out. That the local scene for that very much got killed by Games Workshop when they did season 3. But I had a couple of second place finishes with Underworlds as well. Around about 2016, I want to say, I started to get involved with local board gaming groups. Went over, travelled, played games at different locations. Was heavily involved with the setup of the first local group. And by heavily involved, I mean I was attending a lot of the time. I didn't do a lot of the organisation or that sort of thing. So me and my partner started going as a social social evening of gaming. And as I say, we got heavily involved. I started to upload my collection onto Board Game Geek in late 2017, and I started recording my plays very late 2017. It was literally the last couple of days. I think we got a couple of games in before New Year. But I've recorded my plays since then. Obviously, we've played a ton of different games over the years. We have a load of different entry level gateway games. Trying to see what you can see from there. We've got obviously some Ticket to Ride up here. Splendor is behind. We have some more Ticket to Ride over here. Stone Age. We have all the Zombicide stuff is down there. Century Spice Road is in the bag behind. So I've got stuff everywhere. As I say, this room needs sorting. it was through the local group that I heard about Marvel Champions coming out, and this was just before release or just around release. I'd been asked if I was interested, and I hadn't heard anything about it. It was a new concept to me, so I went to YouTube. I started looking at the sort of preview videos that were being done for the game, the very early videos, and because it was a brand new LCG and you could get in and you could start drip feeding the content, it was a lot easier and a lot more appealing than trying to get into Arkham Horror or The Lord of the Rings. And I think that's what kind of first piqued my interest, was that I could get into an LCG from the beginning and see how it goes. I obviously was a Marvel fan. I am a Marvel fan. And I ended up buying into the game. I bought the core set between Christmas and New Year of 2019. I believe by that point there was a couple of expansions out, but they were quite difficult to find, especially within the UK. By February and the release of The Wrecking Crew, I had managed to locate the Green Goblin, Miss Marvel, and Captain America, as well as the Wrecking Crew. And since then, I've kept up. I've actually, for the last few cycles, I've had a subscription with one of the stores here in the UK, a store up near London or in London. Unfortunately, no local game stores near me carry the game. There are a couple of local players that I get to play with sometimes, not that often. So it has been mostly a solo game. Now, obviously, early 2020, we went into lockdown, and having Marvel Champions as a solo game is really what helped me get through lockdown as far as gaming was concerned. Me and my partner would play games in the evenings. We had our little girl by this point. My little girl was born in 2018 in February, so she's 5 at the minute. And we would play when we got a chance, but I could always crack out Marvel Champions, throw it on the table, and have a solo game. And obviously, with the years that went by and all the pandemic, it really helped me through. And that's sort of with the help of the community. That kind of really gave it a good place in my heart because of how much it got me through at the time. So I've watched content creators from the time that the game was out. I've been involved with the Facebook groups. I've been involved slightly with the Discords. I used to take part in Nelson's monthly challenge over at the Living Card Game Discord. And for the time that I was actually involved in it, I had completed it. I'd completed every challenge for each month, which was fun. Due to some health issues, I stopped doing it. I dropped off of Discord for quite a while, and it's a shame because that was always a good fun challenge each month to help you with your deck building, to have new ideas on how to deck build, and what made an interesting deck. And I think very early on, I realised that I was quite good at seeing different combinations of cards and how you could use cards. I think there was once a challenge where you weren't ever allowed to go to hero mode, and I seem to remember Nelson actually saying at the time that he expected everyone to go leadership because you could just do what you needed to do in leadership. And I was one of the first that said, no, I'm going to do it in justice. And I went Black Widow justice. So she had some thwarting. Um, it was against Drang. So she had some thwarting that could also confuse while she was in justice. There is more thwarting nowadays with the Gambit pack. But trying to do a different deck build than what was expected is what was fun for me. I really enjoy the deck building possibilities, which is, it is a real appeal to me. So the most recent gaming that I've done in the past year, I have started to get involved with a role-playing group, playing some Dungeons and Dragons, something I never did growing up, and I got offered the chance to join in about a year ago now, and we play usually every week, unless life happens. But most weeks we have a nice group that gets together. We have a couple of different games that we're in the middle of campaigns for, and also I suppose the other thing that I hadn't mentioned was during the pandemic I started to try and play more online. So as well as Marvel Champions, I got involved with Board Game Arena. I haven't played as much on that in the last 5-6 months, but I keep going back to it every now and then, and I'll play a bunch of games. It tends to be games I know, tends to be games that I've got, but I have learnt some new games through that, which has been fun. It's a fun way to be able to try out a game and play with people all over the world when you can't get a group together locally. More recently, in the last couple of years, I've had some health issues, so I've tried to be involved where I can. I'm currently one of the admins on the UK Marvel Champions group, and I've tried to do some different things there. Not everything has worked, and I've fallen behind on certain projects that I was trying to do on there, purely because of my health issues. It's something that I will try and go back to. And I set up a UK Discord. So we're not only open to people in the UK, but the idea was that you could arrange games through the Discord, and there are several lobbies to be able to host and play games remotely for anybody that is struggling to find a local group. The reason we've said it's UK because most of us are running on UK time. That is a project that I have undertaken, and I will put the link for that in the description below. So as far as the channel is concerned, I mainly set it up with Marvel Champions in mind. Marvel Champions is probably my favourite game. As I say, it got me through the pandemic. It gave me an out into being able to play. So going forward with the channel, obviously I have watched other content creators for Marvel Champions. A lot of the things that I listen to, I watch, I sometimes look at people's deck builds and I think I would do it a different way, or I agree with them so much and I think, well, that's the ideas that I've had before. There are a ton of great content creators out there. I don't always agree with everything they have to say, but it is great to hear so many people's different thoughts and opinions on new cards, on styles of play, on different villains, on the different heroes, everything that there is out there. But I thought I would try and do some content myself. So majority of this channel will be Marvel Champions, but as you see behind me, I have a ton of different games that I'd love to cover. I would love to cover some smaller, lesser known games, and kind of show them off a little bit. Just looking up, I've got the Bloody Inn up there, which is a fantastic little game, and who knows, maybe I will cover it. I have just put out a video for Unmatched as a game system, purely because I've bought a couple new sets, and I thought, well, maybe I could do unboxings and showing off that game system a little bit as well. But as far as the Marvel Champions content goes, I'm going to continue to do the what's in the box and go over the different deck building cards that come within each pack, as well as what comes in the scenario packs and the campaign expansion boxes. I am going to start off actually this afternoon. I'm going to record a video that's going to be the first of a pre-con series. So just called Pre-Con Corner, and we're going to take each pre-con that has come out. I'm going to run it in a game. I don't have a standard villain that I'm going to go against, so I'm going to change it up depending on the hero, depending on the deck. But we're going to take it into a game and see how it goes. I want to continue on with my What If series. The What If series gives me a chance to be a little bit more creative, with a storytelling element, even if it's just the creative writing part about why this hero has ended up in the situation that they're in, or why a certain modular set is being used. So in the first video, it was the collector had the experimental weapons, so I said that it was basically happening within the collector's armory rather than the entire museum. The second of the series is actually going to have Taskmaster, but with the armies of Titans. So the premise of it is what would happen if Hydra had actually got soldiers from Titan into their ranks. You know, how much more dangerous would Taskmaster's hit squad be in trying to take out heroes and capture them while Hydra tries to take over the world? Now, I have a hero to do that with. I have an idea for the deck. I haven't built it yet. The plan is over the next couple of days to build the deck and play the game and see how it goes. It's actually going to be an expert game. It'll probably be the first expert game that I play on the channel. But that is a series I'd like to continue on with. I'd love to hear some feedback, whether or not, you know, the premise is of interest, whether or not there are ways that I can improve. I've never done any of this sort of stuff before, so attempting to make the videos and attempting to get a good quality of video has been a challenge, but I would love to continue to improve with my content I'm producing. So there are a couple of different series that I want to continue doing, and I will continue doing. As far as the next month is concerned, so at the minute I'm trying to put out a video every few days if I can. My recording time is quite limited. As I say, I have a 5-year-old running around, so trying to have a bit of quiet time is the most challenging part about it. I either have to do it when I'm home alone, when my partner and my daughter are out, or at night. Um, so I'm getting videos recorded as and when I can. The aim is for every 4 days or so. Um, as I say, for the next month, we are actually on holiday for a few days, so I will attempt to get an extra video recorded before we go away that I can release while I'm away. And then in about a month's time, I am back in for surgery. So I will have to have a week where I am positioning. So unless I can get things recorded, there may be a gap in content there. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, if you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. I'm probably not going to do a ton of these videos where I'm on camera. So although I may show off the games room when it's all tidied and everything, I'm going to attempt to show off some other different games, maybe smaller games that people might be interested in. I'd love it if you could subscribe. As I said before, the link will be in the description below for the Discord if you'd like to join us there, and come and chat Marvel Champions, share some decks, share other content, get into some general discussions about the upcoming cycle with Next Evolution and the X-Force wave. We're still waiting on the Deadpool hero announcement that pretty much everyone agrees should be coming up next. But with Next Evolution coming out next month, it's an exciting time for the game. So please, if you haven't before, like and subscribe. Put any comments you want down below. Any questions, any criticisms, any advice that you have, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, happy gaming.